Hey, hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to give a update on a few things actually today. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the update on our prototype because the last meeting we had, I did ask you guys about the three-panel page and certain things that felt a little bit off about it, and we got a whole ton of great feedback. So a good amount of changes went into it. Now, the first thing that we got was when you guys are setting anything up, whether it be a facility or an activity, one thing that we got that was kind of, I think everyone was basically saying this, was there was a lot, it felt like you had to jump back and forth between the left panel and the right panel. We had description here, but then we had pricing there, which didn't make much sense. And the second thing we got was that the center, which used to be only updates, felt like wasted space. And so, given that those two really key pieces of feedback, what we did was we merged the right panel into the left. So you have this one panel right here where you just have to fill up the information in order to get an activity up and running. So description, registration information, pricing, waivers, special offers, that's like discounts. And then with the space that we saved on the right, we actually moved updates into the right, and it's collapsible, so you can make that smaller if you don't want to see it. And the center has been changed to a few different things. So in a given activity, this is like the kind of like the activity dashboard. You will have different tabs depending on the type of activity. So if it's a program, you will have sessions, members, tasks. But if it's a league, you may have games, teams, and then standings. So with that being said, this is for a drop-in. Drop-in and programs are treated pretty similar, but so they'll look very similar. And essentially, in the center, you'll have kind of like an agenda view of the upcoming sessions that are coming up. And then you'll have an expanded view. So you'd be able to click this and kind of see like a registration list of who's showing up. Um, but yeah, I'm just designing that right now. For everything else, it's pretty simple. So like I'll just really quickly show you. So let's say you filled up the description and then photos. Here for registration details, you'll need to click add, and this pop-up will show up. And these are basically saved registration presets. So what I mean by that is you may have multiple classes or programs, clinics that are serving the same type of people. So maybe it's ages 10 to 15, competitive, XYZ, whatever. And so rather than having to put the same information over and over and over again, what you can do is you can create your registration preset. This should say preset, and then put in all the information like age range, capacity, gender, registration dates, skills, and then this is additional registration questions. So this is like if you wanted to ask for any additional question on the registration form, this is where you'd put in the questions. So you can customize it based off of what activity you're running. But instead of having to put this information over and over again, when you set the registration details, it actually creates it as one of these cards that you can associate moving forward, rather than have to make it again. And the same thing can be said for like pricing and waivers and special offers and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's just one thing on the left panel. The second thing, not the second thing, this is like the third thing that we got was on the center panel, we had a little button here that everybody ignored, which was a little calendar icon. And that was kind of how you would add sessions to a activity. And so we got rid of that and we just added these two buttons, view calendar and add session. And so this is the scenario where if you didn't go to the calendar and you just wanted to kind of click into an activity, soccer training, and you wanted to just add a session from here, instead of having to go to the calendar and do it, you can just click on add session. This calendar would pop up, and then you'd be able to put in the information that is needed. Now, just one weird thing, I'm noticing this right now. There's this weird black line that's going through the screen that I don't know why it's showing up on my 13-inch computer, but that definitely won't be there. So anyways, that's kind of like a little preview of the calendar, which is still being designed. Yeah, that concludes the prototype. Now on this newsletter at the bottom, there's a button that says Figma or prototype. I don't exactly remember, but if you click that, it'll bring you to this board. So you can click that and then come take a look at what I've done here, and then you can take a longer look and make your decisions on whether you like this or hate this, and have any other suggestions if you wanted to look at it. Okay, so that is it for the prototype. Let's move on to the next part, which is actually I'll segue it through this. Now, one thing that's new here is tasks, and so this is kind of a really quick experiment that we are running, and essentially the question that we're trying to answer is, how do you guys manage your to-do lists? At your sports complexes, you may have many things to do on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, or on a seasonal basis. How do you set up those to-do lists? How do you manage it? And how do you collaborate with the people that you need to collaborate with in order to execute those kinds of tasks? Whether it be scheduling, whether it be getting permits, whatever it may be, how are the operations organized and managed? So with that question in mind, we found a really quick thing that we added that we wanted to kind of understand if this can add any value to you guys, depending on obviously how you guys operate. But essentially, this would be kind of like on the dashboard, this would be a task board that you can add, where here you can add different to-do list items, kind of like ClickUp, where you can just say something like, get more permits, or whatever it may be. You'll be able to assign the appropriate staff member, and then you can just track how certain tasks are getting done. So moving from to do to doing, doing to done, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, there's two questions here. Question one is, how do you guys manage your more, I guess, granular operations? And what do you think about this sort of like a to-do list board? Do you think this can help you guys be more productive? So yeah, that's on QA. It's not going to be on production because this is just an experiment right now. But if we get feedback saying that, yeah, this can be helpful, or yes, this will make us more efficient, more productive, save us time, then yeah, we're definitely going to clean it up, put this through the whole process, the whole development process, and get this running onto production. If you guys feel like this would be beneficial. Now, moving on to the actual production stuff. So let me just close that. So now I'm on production. You'll notice a few things have changed. The first is the sidebar, that hideous sidebar is gone. So we have a cleaner looking one now, but it's still not perfect. But we're not really striving for perfection just yet. We just want to make sure it's functional. And this is definitely a lot more functional than the last one. So everything's clickable in its open form and its closed form. It doesn't do any weird like animations. And yeah, so there you go. There's a new nav bar here. And then the other thing, this is really minor, but the header is a little bit thinner, so it looks less bulky. Now, for the more important things, activities, it's going well. So this Monday, anytime after 12 p.m., you'll be able to sign in and add in the description of your programs and your drop-ins. So yeah, that's what you'll be able to do this Monday. I'm not going to click through this and show you what it looks like because I'd like for you guys to do it and find things that aren't intuitive, and that way we can work on how to make it more intuitive rather than me telling you guys and then you just learn the ways I've thought about it when I was designing. So yeah, Monday, 12 p.m., that will be up and you guys can take a look. So when you guys are taking a look at it, if you do have any feedback or any thoughts, I thought it would be good if I created this feedback form where you can actually just use this for every single week. And it's just a few short questions that kind of let me understand immediately what you guys are thinking when you're using that software. And the benefit of this would be if you guys can fill this up before our meeting, well, then during our meeting, we can actually dive deeper into the issues rather than kind of exploring what are the issues are. Again, this is not mandatory, but I do think it could have some benefits if you guys wanted to use it. If you guys want to use it to record your feedback. Really quickly, some of the questions, name, so I know who's writing the feedback. What did you do this week? So I have some context on what the issues were, or at least what the feedback is based off of. How was the experience? Easy, hard, somewhat hard. What was most frustrating? If you could change one thing about this week's update, what would it be and why? Anything else you'd like to ask or share? And then a place to just add any photos, screenshots, videos, whatever it may be. At the top, you'll notice this is my contact information. So if you are looking through the software and you don't want to fill up the form and you just want to call me, that's also totally okay. So feel free to do that whenever you'd like. Or if you want to book a meeting before our meeting or you want to book additional meetings, we can definitely do that here. You can use this link to do that. So yeah, so this link will be in the newsletter. There's an additional button now, so I'm just kind of making this newsletter right now, but it'll be feedback form, and you can check that out. Also in QA, if you do sign in, you will see the task board, so you can take a look there and kind of play with it and see if that to get a better feel essentially. So last thing I want to talk about in this meeting is to discuss next week's sprint. So this is the current sprint, week 7 and 8. It's going pretty well. It's going to close on time. Next week, we're going to try something a little bit different where we're going to work on 3 sprints at the same time. Now, that's not necessarily going to mean that we're going to finish 3 sprints in 2 weeks. So next sprint may be a little bit longer, but I do believe that I'll be able to show you guys more software week after week. It won't be completed until a little bit later, but the progress will be the same, if not a little bit faster. So with that being said, what we're going to tackle are, I would argue, some of the most important parts of setting things up correctly. The first one is the registration requirements. So here we want to make sure that we're getting all of your registration requirements down correctly before we start coding. The second thing is scheduling. We want to make sure that our scheduling prototype that we have is designed in an intuitive and easy to use way before we code it, to make sure that software is going to hit the nail on the head, essentially. And then the last part is the pricing and the waivers. So again, just want to go over a prototype with you guys, really make sure the way we're setting up pricing fits your business, and then also waivers. This is where I'd like to understand how you guys are doing waivers right now, what's ineffective about it, or if there's anything ineffective about it, and then what we could do to make that process smoother, whether it be, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that during our meeting. So yeah, that is the entire update. I know this was a little bit of a long video. This was actually a very long video, so I won't keep it going. I will talk to you guys this week. Have a good rest of your weekend.